I'm Marissa Semkiw in for Brian Lilly. Thanks for watching. Privileged Westerners flocking to ISIS. That's the topic of tonight's byline. On Friday, Farah Mohammed Shirdan, a 21-year-old Canadian Somali man from Calgary, died fighting for the Islamic State of Iraq. In a video which surfaced 4 months ago, the terrorist can be seen burning his Canadian passport and uttering threatening remarks toward Canada and the U.S.
This is a message to Canada and all the American Tawagheet. We are coming and we will destroy you, bidnillahi ta'ala.
This man is one of dozens of Canadian men who are strongly suspected of traveling overseas to fight in the name of Islamist Jihad in recent years. According to the latest report from the International Center for the Study of Radicalization and Political Violence, there are up to 11,000 foreign fighters who've joined the Jihad in Iraq and Syria. Predictably, the largest contingents come from other Muslim states in the Middle East and elsewhere, but a disturbingly large number come from developed Western democracies. According to this report, up to 100 of those foreign fighters are from Canada. Now, we've reported on this show and others at this network of people like Damien Claremont, a Calgary man who converted to Islam and joined the brigade in Syria. He was executed in January by the Free Syrian Army. Salman Ashrafi, another Calgary resident who joined the ranks of ISIS in Iraq and carried out a double suicide bombing in November 2013. He killed 46 people. So how is it that ISIS continues to expand its network of foreign fighters? Well, for one, it's created a massive online presence that co-opts young sympathizers. The terrorist group released an online magazine called Dabik in English and in other European languages to communicate with the Western world. In the magazine, ISIS lays out its vision for a global caliphate and encourages Muslims to immigrate from their homes to the Islamic State they've declared. ISIS has also mounted a sophisticated social media campaign on Twitter. Now, while Twitter has been trying to clamp down by suspending these accounts, it's a never-ending battle. But beyond their online propaganda tools, I'd argue that ISIS's success is their major recruiting tool. To be frank, ISIS is on the march, and they're winning, or were up until recently when modest airstrikes started to halt their advance in Iraq. For an army of only 20,000 people, ISIS has been hugely successful. They control and occupy a territory the size of Britain. The capture of Mosul resulted in the bonanza of a big oil refinery in the area which they now control and profit from. Yet, all too often, the default assumption among leftists is that the persistence and growth of this psychotic movement must be code for despair. Just last week, the Liberal leader said this when asked about the greatest threat to global security.
The biggest threat to global security is the kind of violence and misunderstandings and wars that come out of resource depletion, economic uncertainty, concerns of lack of hope for generations growing up in a world that is getting smaller and seemingly less and less fair.
Resource depletion, economic uncertainty, lack of hope? Now, Trudeau didn't specifically say Islamic terrorism was the biggest threat, but surely he knows it's a major threat, or at least I hope he does. In his answer, Trudeau seems to be echoing the common view that terrorism is the result of poverty. That's BS. Let's be clear, bin Laden was rich, and the current leader of ISIS has a PhD. Moreover, every Islamist uprising we're seeing in the Middle East is being backed by big money from other Arab states, especially the wealthy petromonarchies. The Qataris, our supposed allies, have been especially big in backing the Muslim Brotherhood movements. Face it, if poverty was the cause of terrorism, wouldn't sub-Saharan Africa be the biggest bastion of terrorism? And what about all those privileged Westerners I mentioned who traveled overseas to join the Jihad? Living in a strong and prosperous Canada, have they not been afforded the same amount of opportunity? Terrorism isn't the result of poverty. It's the perceived strength of these Islamist movements that drives recruitment. Now, while most of us look at ISIS and see them as destroyers, others see ISIS as creators. They are creating, or perhaps reviving, an Islamic caliphate. And while most of us in the West find the ideology driving this caliphate terrifying, there is a certain type of personality that is attracted to this totalitarian supremacist ideology, just as some were attracted to Hitler and Stalin. If we want to fight this enemy, and we must fight the enemy because they're not content to ignore us, we need to understand the enemy. So let's stop pretending that Islamist terrorism is driven by poverty and despair. Let's stop making excuses for barbarism. Sometimes we need to take the enemy at their word. And that's the byline.